Fox Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
Here in Indianapolis, where the Super Bowl will be played, Peyton Manning will get his first look in person at Cam Newton. And Tim, look through 10 games, a rookie quarterback, the passing yardage numbers, and look how Cam favorably compares to Peyton Manning. Of course, Andy Dalton for the Bengals doing quite well for Cincinnati. Now, moments ago, after the inactives were already declared, this is pregame warm-ups. That's Greg Olsen, the tight end of the Panthers, with Sheiji Ajira-Tutu, the receiver, and they collide. And Olsen was down, needed assistance from the trainers and the medical staff checking him out. And then when the Panthers came out of the locker room, he was up, moving, and appears to be okay.
Well, I hope so. I hope
numbers.
so, because I loved his matchup against these Indianapolis Colts defensively. You know, he's second in receiving for the Carolina Panthers. He's second in touchdowns. I know this. He looks okay right now and looked okay running out of the tunnel. He did not look good laying down in the end zone with all the trainers around him. He was in obvious pain.
Jeremy Shockey returns after a rib injury for Carolina. So having those two tight ends in that offense important for Cam Newton, as some streak will come to an end. The Panthers 12 straight losses on the road. And Rod Rivera saying, hey, my expectations have changed a little bit, but excited about what his quarterback has done. And Jim Caldwell, of course, led the Colts to a Super Bowl, trying to get that first victory of the season for the 0-10 Colts.
Well, I think he'll rely quite a bit on his defense today. They got a big challenge, obviously, against Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers. But, Chris, they are coming off their best performance last game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, only gave up 17 points.
And Kealoha Polaris, a great performance with a franchise record kickoff return for a touchdown last week as Pat McAfee kicks off, and Polaris will down it. So Cam Newton and the Panthers will take over at the 20-yard line. So 21 total touchdowns, and the fact that he's run the ball 77 times, averaging 5.3 yards a carry.
Yeah, and the turnaround offensively from where they were last year, not only in big plays but total yards, is the biggest turnaround in NFL history. You love those weapons around him. And then the offensive line, Byron Bell has been a nice boost for them. They did not expect him to step in and play as well as he did once their starting tackle Jeff Schwartz went down, and Jeff Otah, their two linemen early in the year.
Cam Newton keeps and then flips D'Angelo Williams. So they started with both Williams and Stewart in the backfield.
Well, that's the pistol offense, and I don't know how you stop it if you're Indianapolis in terms of matching numbers in the box, because every one of those guys is a major threat to run the ball.
And of course, up front with the Colts, it's Dwight Freeney and Robert Mathis on the end spots. That's kind of where it all begins.
Well, and again, they have had really the inability to do their thing rushing the passer because of the games. The D tackles have to play better. Pat Angerer does lead the NFL in tackles, so he's been very active.
On second down, 1. Hand off Stewart. And lunges across the 31-yard line. Good enough for a Carolina first down. Got the impression, Tim, that both teams came in with the idea that, hey, we can have success running the football.
Well, neither defense has been able to defend the run very well. And Greg Olsen making his move early here. Watch this block and just the walling off the defensive end. Jerry Hughes right here. I mean, just mashing him down the line of scrimmage. Now you've got a corner that's got to step up and tackle 235-pound Jonathan Stewart.
First and 10 from just beyond the 32. Cam Newton with a pass to Shockey. And the tight end punches it across the 46 for a first down. Shockey has now caught a pass in 131 consecutive games. At least one catch in every game he's played.
I was talking about the offensive improvement. Both of those tight ends, Shockey and Greg Olsen, have been a big part of that in terms of the turnaround. And just look at that. Points per game from last year to this year. Yards per game, 258 to 401. That's what I was talking about. The largest jump in NFL history. That's amazing.
After a gain of 13, D'Angelo Williams the back. Williams for a yard. Jared Powers from his corner spot coming up to help make the stop.
I get the feeling just in watching these two backs and watching them against Detroit last week, and neither one of them really get enough carries because of what Cam Newton is, and he's going to get his 7 or 8 carries per game. But D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart in this matchup today, when you include Cam's 7 or 8 runs, I could see these guys getting 35 runs by the end of this football game and really pounding it at Indianapolis.
On 2nd and 9. Cam Newton to throw. Goes underneath to Brandon LaFell. Steps out of bounds as he goes into Indianapolis territory. So LaFell has really come on. The second-year player from LSU. There was some talk about Legadou Nene battling an Achilles on this turf. But with Steve Smith having a tremendous year, just some other options for Cam Newton.
Well, and again, I think with Cam Newton back there, everyone has to defend him differently. So typically teams are going to put 2 over to Steve's side. You'll see Brandon LaFell with a lot of one-on-one isolation matchups in this game. He's got one right now at the top of your screen.
On 3rd and 5. Cam Newton gets rid of it to Stewart at the last moment, and he stops short of the first down at midfield.
What did I say last night with these defensive ends? Mathis is going to come from the top. You're going to see Freeney. He's going to get pressure from the bottom side. When you have an opportunity to get Cam Newton down, you got to get him down. But Chris, he's 252 pounds. And that's the challenge. I mean, Detroit was all over him in the game last week. They had 1 sack because of Cam's ability to stay on his feet because he's so big and so strong.
Joe LaFage inside the 10. No fair catch. He goes down inside the 13-yard line where the Colts will take over after a 41-yard punt.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com.
Tim Ryan, Chris Myers here in Indianapolis. Greg Olsen appears to be okay, and glad to have Jeremy Shockey back. Colts take over on offense. Joseph Adai coming off the hamstring, and he gets the first carry from Curtis Painter, who's just started the last 7 games. 5 touchdowns, 7 picks. Stepping in, of course, for Peyton Manning, who is here watching.
I would like to see Jacob Tamme get the ball more. I don't think he's been a big enough part of this offense. When you look back at the first 10 games, offensively, they've certainly had their issues up front in terms of the injuries. Could get Anthony Costanzo, their first-round pick left tackle, Chris, back in the lineup a few games ago.
On 2nd and 10, the Colts have been able to run the ball well as a team, averaging 4.5 yards a carry. And Adai. It'll be 3rd and long, and that's when you have to look out for a guy like Charles Johnson. 7 sacks so far.
Yeah, and both defensive ends have played good, in particular Charles Johnson. But the defensive tackles, the rookies have hit the wall a little bit. Ron Rivera talked about those guys needing to step their play up. Shot in the arm, getting Danny Connor back in the middle. They have been hammered with injuries, especially losing Beeson early. And then Chris Gamble has quietly had a very good season. You watch him against Calvin Johnson in that game against Detroit. Gamble's played well, and they're playing more man coverage than they historically played, Chris, under John Fox.
Jordan Sen, the ex-Colt at linebacker for the injured Omar Gaither. On 3rd and 8, Painter's throw incomplete. Austin Collie was in the area.
Well, Painter's got to make that throw. He had good time. You had the matchup that you were looking for. You had Austin Collie matched up on your Sam linebacker, your strong side linebacker, James Anderson. And he definitely put his foot in the ground, made a nice outcut. There was separation, and Painter just overthrew him.
And it's worth mentioning that Dan Orlovsky, who's the backup quarterback, has come in the late stages of the last 2 Colts games. So McCaffrey punts for Amani Edwards. Fair catch called for. Excellent field position right at the 44 of Carolina. Their second possession after a 41-yard punt. So Cam Newton will bring it back out, his running backs on first down.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Here we go.
Peyton Manning said, "I'm there as a resource for Curtis Painter. I'm not going to coach him, trying to help." We'll talk. We spent some time with Peyton before the game. We'll talk more about that. Tim and I throughout this game. A lot to cover. But right now, on 1st and 10, Cam Newton has it. Under pressure, throws low and incomplete for Steve Smith.
Well, you got to appreciate Pat Anger coming up on the blitz because, number one, Cam Newton has been outstanding against the blitz, but number two, Larry Coyer and this defense, they really haven't blitzed anybody this year. They are the least blitzing defense in the NFL, and he just reads the offensive line protection as Jordan Ghost blocked down that opened an alleyway, and he was clearly the reason. Pat Anger forcing the throw and the ball to come out by Cam Newton. And there's Larry Coyer, the defensive coordinator, right there.
D'Angelo Williams with about a 4-yard gain. Pat Anger, who came in on the blitz and leads the NFL in total tackles. That's his 105th for the season.
Well, a lot of what they do, Chris, is they sit in that cover 2 shell where, you know, he's going to be back in intermediate coverage quite a bit. They don't run blitz a lot in terms of defending the run, so he's got the ability to flow to the ball, and he gets after it. Now, year number 2, he has got a great nose of where that ball's going and then the ability to go get it.
Long.
Cam Newton keeps and dives near the first down. Looks like he fell inside the 45, which would be good enough for a Carolina first down.
Incredible.
It looked like there was nothing there.
That's Cam Newton in a nutshell. There's Freeney. He's going to take an inside rush. He's going to force Cam Newton out to the left, out the side door. Now Dwight Freeney's going to step on the gas. Look at him. He's got big time speed, and he's just swatting at air on Cam Newton.
He's run for over 400 yards this season, picked up 7 there.
That was great effort by Dwight Freeney trying to get to Cam Newton. He, at 252 pounds, number 1 right there. It's really unbelievable, Chris, how well he moves.
D'Angelo Williams met hard. Devell Connor, who leads the NFL in stuffs, which is tackling runners for negative yards or a loss, gets the job done.
You know, a lot's been said about Cam. That was a good play by Connor, just rocking it in the hole. A lot's been said about Cam Newton as a runner. Well, Ron Rivera told us yesterday, look, we'd like him to run less. He's going to have 4 or 5 designed runs per game. There's going to be another 4 or 5 times he does it by himself. And I'm here to tell you, and Ron Rivera knows it as an old linebacker with the Bears, the safest place for Cam Newton is outside of the pocket. The most dangerous spot's in the pocket when you're getting blindsided and not being able to see the rush coming.
On 2nd and 10, from the pocket, it's high and overthrows Steve Smith. And actually, Cam agreed with you on that. He said, I feel more comfortable. I can look around and see where people are coming from.
Yeah, and you look at the rushing attack, they're all for positive yards, and it's really a 3-headed monster. But you're right, Chris, and that's what I mean when I say the huddle is the most dangerous spot, because there's so many blindside shots. When he's out as a runner, he can slide, he can run out of bounds. He's not a guy that's going to put his head down to try to run over defenders.
On 3rd and 10.
So he can really control the contact when he decides to run.
Cam Newton throws, and Brandon LaFell has a first down. Inside the 26 of Indianapolis. You said at the top, Cam runs, he throws, and zip that on a line.
And has very good protection. These are the 2 guys you got to get protected and keep off your quarterback. But it's really the route by Greg Olsen, who runs out to the flat. Great job by Cam Newton getting to his second read, because watch this window open up for LaFell right behind Greg Olsen. You see the corner go with Greg Olsen? Open the window behind him, and Newton threw a strike.
An 18-yard pickup as Williams carries on first down. So far, Cam Newton is 4 out of 6, and he's run for a first down.
That's what you appreciate about him, Chris, is throwing from the pocket. We just talked about what a weapon he is outside of the pocket. He's darn near just as big a weapon in the pocket because he uses that great size to see over the offensive line in front of him, and rarely gets his vision point crowded by the pass rushers or the offensive linemen because of, being close to 6'6".
Jonathan Stewart splits out as a receiver on the right. For LaFell, who catches it, but is thrown right for a loss at the 30-yard line by Gerard Powers. It'll bring it third down. Well, that was one of the areas they said Cam improved, was his anticipating where a receiver is going or where to go with the football.
Well, I think his body caught up with his mind. Gerard Powers is all over this. And, I mean, he saw that develop right from the get-go. Cam just gets the ball and tries to throw that quick little bubble screen out to Brandon LaFell. Gerard Powers, he wasn't taking the bait on that one.
Well, that was a 2-yard loss, Tim. Now it's 3rd and 10. Time for Cam Newton, who is going to keep and fight hard. His helmet comes off inside the 22. Pat Anger and Robert Mathis.
Looked like Ernie Sims was the one that ripped it off with his left hand. That's what you don't want your quarterback doing when you're Cam Newton. See, he could have controlled that by getting to the outside and sliding. Instead, he's going to cut back inside, and he's going to take on the contact. And now watch Ernie Sims come from behind. Oh, no, it wasn't. Yeah, it was Ernie Sims. Came from behind and just ripped across his face mask and tore his helmet off. But that's what you don't want your quarterback doing, taking on 3 or 4 defenders and fighting for an extra yard.
So a 40-yard field goal attempt for Lindo Mara, who has hit 16 out of 20. And the kick is up and through. The Carolina Panthers, who are coming off the highest scoring game they've ever been involved in that loss to the Lions, have a narrow 3-point lead here in Indianapolis.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Pizza Hut's new Big Dinner Box. Get all your favorites in one epic box. By Jared, the Galleria of Jewelry. And by the all-new Volkswagen Passat, 2012 Motor Trend Car of the Year.
Cam Newton with Mike Shula, one of the members of the Carolina coaching staff, has worked so well with him. Of course, son of Don Shula, the Hall of Fame coach, as the Colts ready to receive the kick from Lindo Mara. And they will take it on the 20. Tied for the lead in an area you don't want of 3 and outs. See if the offense can get going here, trailing 3-0. Following us, a preview of all the college football championship games. Get first reactions from coaches and players from around the country. The college football championship preview coming up with a Big Ten title game next Saturday right here, Michigan State and Wisconsin on Fox.
Apple. 16.
They're going to run it again to a dive. Who goes nowhere? What a hit. So this offense, Dan Connor
just body rocked him.
And he's coming off a neck injury, but didn't show it there. This offense went from a Peyton Manning offense to a Curtis Painter offense, and they're growing pains.
Yeah, definitely growing pains. Now they're doing a lot of the same things at the line of scrimmage, and what this does for Curtis Painter is it's not a hurry up. It really is an opportunity for Curtis Painter to get a good look at the defense and what their plan is, and to check to the right play.
Joseph Adai out to the 25. Charles Godfrey makes the tackle. It'll be third down.
And I think one thing that's really plagued him, number one, Painter never really played up until this year in the preseason. So he never really had game reps. Boy, I would have preferred that, and I think a lot of the players would have preferred that he'd been the starter from week 1. They brought in the $4 million experiment in Kerry Collins, which really, I think, kind of retarded the growth of Curtis Painter. But one thing we know about Peyton Manning in this offense, they'd come out and they'd start so fast in games. Chris, it'd be 14-0, 10-0 before you can blink. This group has really lacked that ability to put pressure on defenses early. Only 13 first quarter points all year.
And the ball is loose. That is a fumble as ruled on the field, and the Colts recover it. Joseph Adai alertly on top of that. And we asked Jim Caldwell about Dan Orlovsky, the backup quarterback, and he said that we have no plans to play him in this game. But if Curtis Painter, there's some people who feel Orlovsky should be playing in place of Painter.
Yeah, and nobody gets Charles Godfrey on the protection. Adai tries to get over there, and instead of setting inside as Painter stepped up in the pocket, Adai tried to chip him from the outside. Painter stepped up, and Godfrey just knocked that football out, Chris.
So Amani Edwards, the former quarterback at Appalachian State, it's up to the 43-yard line, and the Panthers, who have a 3-0 lead and have gone about things rather patiently, will take over on offense after the Panther defense does its job. Super Bowl will be held here in Indianapolis in February. This weekend, the Indiana High School State Finals. Carmel, Cathedral, and Bishop Chatard all won their classes. Congratulations. In fact, Curtis Painter was one of the guys who once played in those games as a high school player.
Awesome venue.
Panthers on first down. Peyton, I should say, Cam Newton throws to Steve Smith. And Steve Smith goes all the way down to the 30-yard line. And that'll put him over the 1,000-yard mark for this season, the 6th time in his career he's had 1,000 receiving yards or more.
He's just still so darn explosive. And Cam Newton, watch him thread the needle right in between the backer and the corner. I mean, you can't make a better throw than that. And did you notice that Steve Smith never broke stride? Never had to stop, never had to slow down to try to catch it. When you get an electric guy like Steve Smith, the ball accurately like that, he's going to do major damage.
After a 30-yard pass play, they go to the ground to D'Angelo Williams. Let's get a game break. Here's Kurt Benefield.
A little excitement in Tennessee after Tampa Bay kicked a field goal. Ensuing kickoff, Mark Mariani starts the goal line, hands it off to the rookie Tommy Campbell. 84 yards later, he takes it in for the score. How about that for excitement? Titans trying to stay alive in the AFC playoff hunt. They lead 7-3 over Tampa in the first. Chris and Tim.
Titans, one of those surprise teams. Thanks, Kurt. The Buccaneers, a disappointment thus far. On 2nd down 8, in field goal range. And off Jonathan Stewart. Boy, those defensive linemen have to wait when Cam has the football.
Well, that's the old college play, the read zone. And he's just reading the defensive end. And if the defensive end comes upfield, takes away his running ability, so he's going to hand it off to Jonathan Stewart. If the defensive end crashes down and reads the down block in front of him and goes to tackle the dive or the zone play, then Cam Newton's going to keep it, and he's going to turn the corner.
So as the first quarter winds down, the Panthers have moved the ball well and holding that lead. The Colts on offense, well, the offense has not shown up yet.
They've had 2 major miscues. They had Curtis Painter had a wide open Austin Collie on a linebacker, didn't get it to him. And then the bust in protection. That was an awful job by Joseph Adai when Painter just got sacked.
It's the end of the first quarter. The Panthers lead 3-0. We welcome you back. The NFL on Fox to open the second quarter on 1st and 10 Panthers from the Colt 22 with Jonathan Stewart the back. Cam Newton has the football, is going for the end zone and incomplete. He was looking for Legadou Nene.
Good job there by Tyler Brayton getting some gut pressure, which is pressure right up the middle, force that ball out early. Look at the first quarter stats. 103 yards to 1. -6 in passing yards. And then this is the same one, the troubling trend that has been all year long. Chris, for the Indianapolis Colts, time of possession. Got 19 plays right now to only 7 plays. Curtis Painter and those Indianapolis Colts, in terms of time of possession and ball control, they're 32 out of 32 teams, the worst in the NFL.
2nd and 10, the defense of the Colts trying to hang in there. And that's Stewart. He gets down inside or right at the 25-yard line. And he's brought down at that point. It'll bring up 3rd and about 5, actually 4.5.
Well, he's really become a feature 3rd down back for the Carolina Panthers, Jonathan Stewart. And you wouldn't believe how big that guy is if you get down on the field at 235 pounds. And when you run the ball, you got to be, especially on the perimeter, you got to get good blocks. There's a good one by Nene. There's another good one by Steve Smith, just enough to spring a few extra yards for Jonathan Stewart.
So they mark it inside the 15. Panthers only need 2 yards for a first down on 3rd down.
Ready for a Cam Newton run. There it is.
And there he goes. And Cam Newton is going to skate into the end zone. Touchdown, Carolina. What happened to that? We don't need him to run that much.
Well, as Ron Rivera told us, he's our best player. We got to get the ball in his hands. This had it written all over it with the linebackers mugged up in the line of scrimmage. You cannot be an inside linebacker in that situation and be crowding up in between.
What do you mean by
right here, mugged up? Look at Pat Angerer. He's up here between the guard and the center. Man coverage right here for Bethea. Watch the running lane it leaves for Cam Newton. And there's nobody out there. Pat Angerer mugged up at the line of scrimmage, they call it, playing very aggressive. Got caught up in the wash, and Cam Newton walked into the end zone.
So the 14-yard touchdown run from the 22-year-old Cam Newton. That's his 10th rushing touchdown. He already owns the rookie quarterback record. Steve Grogan's record is next on the hit list.
Today's game is sponsored by Chevrolet and their award-winning cars, trucks, and crossovers. By Citizen Echo Drive, fueled by light it never needs a battery, unstoppable. And by Verizon, your holiday tablet destination.
The NFL record for touchdowns by a quarterback in a single season, Steve Grogan with 12. Cam Newton just scored his 10th. He broke Vince Young's rookie quarterback record. We still have 5 games to go after this one. So the Colt offense will once again start on the 20-yard line. And when you talk about Cam Newton, there's a lot of things he does well.
Well, he is great at standing tall in the pocket. I mean, look at his mechanics and just really twisting that lower body, using his hips to drive the ball accurately. Chris, this is what I was talking about with the ability at close to 6'6", looking over the line of scrimmage and being able to see the routes develop down the field, and then the escapability speaks for itself. We've already seen 2 or 3 of those examples in this football game today. What people forget is this cat right here led the Southeastern Conference in rushing last year. Some pretty good backs down in the Southeastern Conference.
On 1st and 10, Painter to throw. Has time and completes to Reggie Wayne. All the way up to the 35-yard line. His 43rd catch of the year.
Still a great route runner when you look at Reggie Wayne. Nobody has more catches since 2008. Watch him drive Captain Munnerlyn off and then come back to the football. He's going to drive. Now put the brakes on. Come back to the ball. Good throw by Painter.
14-yard pickup. That's what this Colt offense needs. Donald Brown checks in at running back.
Black 11.
Brown has it. Steps out around the 26-yard line. So the idea was for Joseph Adai battling that hamstring. He hadn't practiced a whole lot. They'd try him out, see how he handled it. Then we would see more of Donald Brown. Rookie DeLon Carter lost a couple of fumbles, and that's cost him playing time.
You know, they've actually run the ball for a pretty good number when you look at it. It's just their games have gotten so out of whack. And then being behind, they haven't been able to commit to it. But they're running for about 4.5 yards a carry, which by NFL standards is good.
This is Donald Brown barreling forward, but is short of the first down. Curtis Painter said he watched game video with Peyton to go over some of the things on identifying calls for runs at the line of scrimmage.
And there's the fullback, and this is the isolation play, just the lead play, which Carolina has been very vulnerable with all year long. They just got that fullback, that being Indianapolis, on their roster, Mahaffey.
Picked him up from the Eagles practice squad, a free agent from Northern Iowa.
Black 11.
3rd and 3.
Now there's the isolation pass.
He's going deep for Wayne, and we should see a flag.
Same exact action as the run play right before, Chris, in terms of the lead play, the isolation play, getting a fullback up on the linebacker, but they run the pass off of it, play action, and Munnerlyn was all over the receiver, never turned to find the ball while the ball was in the air.
Pass interference, defense number 41, early contact, not playing the ball. Automatic, first down.
Tony Correnti, in his 17th year, our official for today.
And you'll see Munnerlyn's head. He never turns back to locate the ball. As a corner, you've got to read the eyes of the receiver. When their eyes get big and they're looking back, that's your cue to look back. And there's the contact easy call.
A 42-yard penalty against the Panthers sets up the Colts. And there goes Donald Brown. Donald Brown has a Touchdown!
Boy, what a great block by the fullback Mahaffey. There's the bubble he's going to run through. Watch him kick out Godfrey, the safety, and open up the lane for Donald Brown. That is a great block. And then Donald Brown with the juice to outrun Sherrod Martin, the speed to outrun the other safety to the goal line. Well-designed play. That fullback already paying dividends here on the Colts roster.
His third rushing touchdown of the season. And the Colts score here in the second quarter. Colt fans here at home thinking maybe this is the day.
Man, what a block by that dude already a couple of times. And I promise you, Bill Poley and the coaching staff looked at Carolina and said they are vulnerable to the lead play. We need a big-time fullback on the roster. Went to Baltimore's practice squad, signed him during the off week. He's already had some big-time blocks.
Kealoha Polaris from the end zone. Across the 20. Carolina will take over on offense. Panthers have a narrow 3-point lead. Clyde Christensen, offensive coordinator for the Colts, and there is Mahaffey, the fullback. And in pregame warmups, I was talking to Christensen, and he couldn't even remember Mahaffey's name. Said we'll get him into the game somehow. He had not seen him in pads yet. He's done the job for the Colts. On first down, D'Angelo Williams carries. How does he look in pads to you?
I think he looks pretty good. He had a major impact on that drive. Here he is here, and you got an 8-man front, and watch him go through and get the kickout block on the safety, Charles Godfrey. I mean, the timing is absolutely perfect.
And because of the new rules with pads in practice, you pick a guy up, you're not sure of how he does, and he's helped the Colts get into the end zone. Meanwhile, the working parts for Carolina on 2nd and 4. Make that 6 from the 25.
Watch out for Greg Olsen right here at the top of your screen, hiding.
That slight ankle sprain appears to be okay. Jonathan Stewart is going to fight for a Panther first down. Came in averaging 4.5 yards a carry. Every time they've gone to him, he's been productive.
And Greg Olsen had the big block. He didn't go out for a pass, but that's one thing when you look at Carolina, and watch Olsen. He's going to get the seal down here on Jamal Anderson, who's out playing right defensive end. I mean, he's just hand battling with him and is able to, well, that was Jerry Hughes again, was able to get him turned and give the edge to Jonathan Stewart. That's the thing about these tight ends in Carolina is he and Shockey are so versatile. They can both block, they can both catch, they can both run. So you
Robert Mathis. Five and a half sacks this year.
Well, Robert Mathis just comes through the wash up inside. I mean, he came all the way from the left defensive end spot and came underneath the protection and found himself a little crease, and then the ability to finish on the quarterback.
A loss of 12. Panthers in a hole here now on 2nd down and 22. Whistle.
Delay a game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains 2nd down.
That'll back them up further.
And that's what this defense needs. A little confidence boost. Get some good things going. It has been really several games since Freeney or Mathis have had a real big impact on the quarterback. Already today, they both either had some hurries, some pressures, or that time a sack.
And not what Cam Newton needs. I mean, he was almost philosophical when we met with him yesterday about the losses so far this year for his team. Complete. That's Nene. It'll bring up 3rd down. The Panthers have to get out to the 42 to get a first down.
And Cam Newton, you pressure him, he will make mistakes, Chris. He had 4 interceptions against Detroit, and the 2 big ones early in the game down in the red zone. Both times the Lions had pressure.
Brandon LaFell was out of bounds. It'll be 4th down.
Good illustration of the arm strength there by Cam Newton, though. Larry Coyer showed some pressure, then the defensive coordinator, then he dropped the linebackers out. Cam saw it, felt the pressure coming from behind him, and he just launched a rocket off of his back foot that LaFell dropped.
And with those 14 interceptions this year, Cam threw it in an area where if his receiver didn't get it, it's going out of bounds, incomplete. Pierre Garçon back for the punt. And he runs back, and the Panthers with an excellent special teams reaction to a poor move on the part of Pierre. Polaris after a 51-yard punt with a 7-yard loss on the return. Panthers with a 3-point lead, but lopsided much more in the time of possession in favor of Carolina so far.
And many more opportunities. When you talk about ball control and time of possession, at the end of the day, it's been 26 play opportunities for Carolina, only 10 for these Colts.
From the 15 on 1st down, it's Donald Brown again. He had the touchdown run, and remember, in the 80-yard drive for the Colts, they had a 42-yard pass interference penalty that helped set them up.
And it was the lead play again. They're going to run this all day long, and you're going to see the open lanes against this Carolina defense. And they're going to get that fullback matched up on linebacker all day, and then let Donald Brown, or whoever's running the ball, make the read off the backside.
Brown stays in. They need 2 for a 1st down. Right at the 25-yard line. Fox Sports is proud to bring you the inaugural conference championship games of the Pac-12 and the Big Ten on back-to-back nights. Friday night, then Saturday night. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Wisconsin and Michigan State will play in this very building here in Indianapolis.
How does UCLA get pounded 50-0 by the Trojans, and they're going to represent the Pac-12 in the championship?
Your USC bias is showing.
Yeah, that's all right.
They'll face Oregon.
Angry.
Hey, Matt Barkley might be playing at this level real soon. So they did get the 1st down from the 25. Hayner has it, is under pressure, and the Panthers corral him at the 27-yard line. Charles Johnson had a hand in it, so did Andre Nebler.
Just great handwork by Charles Johnson. That's 16 sacks in the last 18 games. Here he is, and he's just going to get to the edge and push the hands up of Linkenbach. Linkenbach will get his hands out. Now Charles just, boom, lifts the hands up. He's able to dip underneath him and get in on and get himself a sack. I'll tell you the one thing that they're going to have to do in their run defense, and the issues all year, they're going to have to start slanting the front and stunning the front against that lead play, or Indianapolis is going to keep getting big success and big runs with it.
2nd and 12. Let's get a game break and check in with Kurt Menefee.
Jets coaches and players say they need to run the table, so that run starts today against Buffalo, they hope. Dustin Keller, 3-yard reception from Mark Sanchez, ties the score at 7 with just over 7 to play in the first half. Chris and Tim.
Thanks, Kurt. Battle of New York in the AFC East on 3rd down. Brown remains the back. Hayner's throw is high for Austin Collins. It'll bring up 4th down.
Well, and listen, they had 6 defensive backs on the field. Carolina rushed 4 guys. Indianapolis kept 7 guys in to protect. That means only 3 guys out in the route going against 7 guys covering, 6 of them being defensive backs. It's a little wrinkle that Ron Rivera does defensively. 4 D linemen, 1 running back, 6 defensive backs. He had no chance getting open.
Amani Edwards back to receive the punt. And Edwards has room. There's a penalty flag down as Edwards goes out of bounds around the 30 of Indianapolis, where the punter, McAfee, ran with him.
I think it was Tony Corrente, the referee, that was the one that threw the flag.
During the return of the kick, illegal block in the back. receiving team number 91. 10-yard penalty, first down.
So the penalty's on Keon Wilson. And it cuts into a 45-yard return after a 55-yard punt.
And there's 91. There's Keon Wilson there. No, that was 81. I think it was 93. I think it was Antoine Applewhite. So it looked like, because that was Pilaris there.
I'm just going by what the referee calls out. You know, he has a doctor's appointment coming up, Peyton Manning, and we'll tell you about that. Come on, we were down working our sources. He has a great attitude, Peyton Manning, considering where he is and the uncertainty of it all.
He called you pal about 4 times.
180. There we go way back. 180. Cam Newton steps back. Down the middle of the field, up off the hands of Steve Smith and almost intercepted. Probably should have been by David Caldwell.
Absolutely should have been by David Caldwell. Ball was a little bit high. Tremendous velocity on it with Cam Newton throwing off the run. There's Steve Smith on the in cut. It goes right off of his hands. Tips and overthrows over the middle of the field commonly end up going the other way. David Caldwell just dropped it.
You know, Smith played a little defense here, just trying to aggravate Caldwell. But now it's 2nd and 10 for the Panthers, who at one time had a 10-0 lead, but have slowed down a bit.
And those are the plays, Chris, a winless team have to make. And they only had 5 interceptions in 10 games this year.
Newton's pass is caught by Olsen. He's brought down by Philip Wheeler. It'll be 3rd down. Cam is 8 out of 13 so far. Facing a 3rd and 5. At the age of 7, was a linebacker playing.
And I think that's part of football, his mentality. And he always learned to be the hitter rather than the hittee. And he had that feather in his cap from a young age mentally, and then transition to being a running back. It's really helped him.
Can he get away? No. Dwight Freeney. Five and a half sacks this season for Freeney.
What a great sack by Dwight Freeney. And we talked to him the other day. I said, tell me about trying to sack Cam Newton. Cam will try to spin out of it here. Spins a little early, so Freeney's able to get on him. But it's really about your aiming point. He gave the analogy of hunting a deer on a run, or you're hunting an animal. And as you're looking and you're going to take that shot and he's on the run, you got to make your aiming point ahead of him or you'll miss him. That was perfect.
You said I didn't know you hunted.
He goes, I didn't either.
Using the analogy of his coach as Pierre Garçon calls him the punt. So he's closing in on 100 career sacks. With Peyton Manning out of the Colts lineup, they miss a lot.
Well, number one, great player, but a great offensive mind, and I've called him the best offensive coordinator in pro football. He rarely misses. He gets the offense in the right play against the right defense. Then, of course, he had a great run game with Edgerrin James, Joseph Adai, even Dominic Rhodes, so he had great play fakes. And then as a playmaker, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a quarterback-driven league, and you got to be a playmaker. You got to get the ball down the field with accuracy and big plays. Yes. Not many have ever done it better than Peyton Manning.
On first down, Panthers in trouble. Gets away from the rush, floats one incomplete. It'll be second. I want to go back to Peyton Manning because this morning was special for it. He and his wife Ashley as Mosley and Marshall.
On the line of scrimmage. Second down.
There was not a receiver anywhere near. He was out of the pocket, so no intentional grounding call.
No call. But baptism performed for his twin children, Marshall and Mosley, 8 months old. He said Jim Caldwell said, hey, if things go well today, then every Sunday we'll have them baptized. The Colts will do anything to win.
Coaches are so superstitious. It's great. How about the big smile on his face, though, that being Peyton talking about his twins.
Thankful for a lot of things. Painter hands off to Adai, and Joseph Adai has a first down all the way into the 43 of Carolina before James Anderson brought him down. A 17-yard run.
That is a hard play to stop because these linebackers are thinking pass as Curtis Painter gets in his drop. You see James Anderson bail out just enough The defensive end rushes up the field. The linebacker, because of the pass drop, the early pass drop by Curtis Painter, just a little bit of a drop and opens a nice hole there for Joseph Adai. Well executed play.
So Donald Brown checks in at running back. They're going to stay with the ground game. And there goes Brown inside the 35.
Carolina's had major issues defending the run this year. Major issues. And a lot of it's been missed tackles. And I was talking to Ron Rivera about it yesterday. James Anderson right there had the running back right in the hole if he wanted to make the play. And it was just really poor fundamentals in terms of the tackling. I think a big part of that, Chris, is their inability to practice in pads and really practice tackling during the week. It really is a lost art.
Second and 2, Painter to throw and throws high, but a nice catch by Ryan Mahaffey. The fullback who you so glowingly spoke of as a blocker in the touchdown drive.
Well, he's going to do one of two things. He's going to lead as a blocker, or it's going to be a lead pass play action fake. And this one is the same play, except it's the play action fake. And he makes a beautiful catch, extending out and getting it with one arm.
So a fresh set of downs from the 30. Donald Brown the back with the fullback Ryan Mahaffey. Who thought he'd be the story? The ball is bobbled, but a quick throw into the ground in the area of Pierre Garçon. And Greg Hardy got a hand up on that.
And they're going to continue, as I've been saying, to run that lead play, that isolation play with the fullback, Mahaffey getting up on a linebacker. And Ron Rivera knows this as a defensive guy, that he's going to have to start slanting his front. He's going to have to start using that defensive line. Now, that's a bad snap. Painter's lucky to get it off. But he's going to have to start using that defensive line to move inside, do different movements so they don't get the easy lead play up on the linebackers.
On second and 10, Donald Brown. And Captain Mutterland was there, along with Jordan Sem, the former Colt, as we're reaching the 2-minute mark of the first half. So the Panthers have the lead, but the Colts are on the move at the 2-minute warning. Moments ago at Indianapolis, there is NASCAR's Sprint Cup champion, Tony Stewart, a diehard Colt fan from the great state of Indiana. And as owner-driver, his third championship. And what a duel with Carl Edwards. And a great come-from-behind win. You'll see him at the Daytona 500 in February on Fox. Third down. They're going to run it with Donald Brown. Now they needed 12.
Yeah, and they didn't get it.
Are they playing for a field goal here?
Well, they've been able to run with some pretty good success the last sprint draw, but yeah, that long down and distance clearly playing for the field goal. You get down in the scoring zone, you don't want to make a mistake with your quarterback who's completed 2 balls today.
So Adam Vinatieri has converted his last 27 regular season field goal attempts here in Indianapolis. It's all about drama on Fox on Monday. So this will be a 43-yard try for Vinatieri to put the Colts into a tie. He's been clutch at home. Snap, kick, hold, and that's good. The winless Colts coming off a bye week. Jim Caldwell said the guys are still playing with a lot of heart. Meanwhile, Cam Newton wants to win on the road in the NFL.
And I can attest to that and vouch for that from watching their games and watching it on the coach's tape on the interlaced copy. I've heard a lot of comments that guys have packed it in mentally and the trailers are packed here in week 12, and that's all garbage. I mean, these guys, they've had their in all the games that I watch.
And great fans that love coming to this building and supporting the Colts. Peyton Manning, highly unlikely that he'll play again this year. We'll talk about what Bill Polian told us and what Peyton told us in the second half about what Peyton knows about the
I wonder if he'll ever play again.
Nerve degeneration in the arm and the neck fusion. The doctor is holding the cards, according to Peyton. And the Colts are waiting patiently. February is another landmark month for Peyton Manning and the Colts. Lawrence lets it go. They'll come out to the 20-yard line. Panthers have 2 of their timeouts.
Well, and the reason I say that is I know how fragile the neck is. And you look at head, neck, or back, and it does end careers. And my goodness, I hope he gets the opportunity to do again what he's been so great at for so long. But you're talking about 3 neck surgeries. You're talking about degeneration of the nerve down the throwing arm. And if all those nerves do not come back and you can't fire the ball like you've been firing it for 14 years, not to mention you have a young family and you got the rest of your life. I mean, there are a lot of question marks surrounding Peyton Manning and his future plan in the National Football League.
Here comes a flag on first down. There's Dallas Clark with a fibula injury. Should be back in a couple of weeks. Talking some NASCAR, I'm sure, with Tony Stewart. Maybe about how you come back. Tony made the chase.
Neutral zone infraction, defense. Stepped in the neutral zone, causing an offensive player to false start. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Tony made the chase in NASCAR. Didn't win a race all year, then won 5 of the last 10, including the last race, to win the championship. And Peyton Manning, in the year that Jim Caldwell's team got out to 14-0, they came from behind 7 times to win late in those games.
I can tell you this, just back to Peyton, I don't think he'll play again this year. He couldn't even play golf a couple of weeks ago. He has not even been cleared to swing a golf club yet, Chris.
Jonathan Stewart for a Carolina first down. Again, 2 timeouts. Coming up, a Visa halftime report. All the highlights and scores from around the league. The Fox Sports ticker will keep you updated with all the stats as Carolina hustling to the line. 120 and counting here. To the first down. Yeah, Peyton Manning had the right kind of attitude about, hey, I've had a great long career. Guys deal with injuries all the time. I've been spoiled with it. He's going to put his health in the hands of doctors who are doing their best.
Nene.
He'll lose yardage.
They baited him right into throwing that.
Jarrett Powers is right there.
Absolutely baited him into throwing. They left him uncovered for a reason, knowing that Cam Newton was going to immediately check and throw it to him.
Panthers call time. They'll have 1 timeout remaining. Carolina trying to win its 3rd game of the year. And the Colts, of course, hoping for that first victory. What have you seen so far? You're a little bit surprised that the Panthers haven't been able to put up more points.
No, I'm not, and I'll tell you why. Number one, Indianapolis offensively has kept them in this game with some nice runs. That fullback, Mahaffey, has made a huge difference in this game with the lead play and the pass off of it. But more importantly, the pass rush has gotten cranked up. They've shut the run down. They've put them into some long down and distance situations, and when you do that, Dwight Freeney and Robert Mathis can do their thing. The defense really is the story of this game, certainly in the second quarter.
Well, you've seen Cam Newton before. How's he look so far in this game?
Well, I think he looks good. I think he's been under pressure, and his escapability, typically he runs away from guys. That's why you got to give the credit to Mathis and to Freeney for being able to finish and get him to the ground.
And what a throw for a first down to Greg Olsen. And he steps out of bounds with 45 seconds to go.
I mean, he's not used to defensive linemen being able to get on him that quick and get him down. Usually when Cam Newton, because of his great skill sets, Chris, and athletic ability, when he sees it, he's got the ability to react and step away from it and burst away from it. Credit Freeney and Mathis with their outstanding skill sets for being able to put a stop to it in the first half of this game.
They need about 25 yards for a field goal shot, at least a legitimate one. Cam Newton gets rid of it safely, but they lost 9 seconds off the clock. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Well, they had all day to throw. Jordan Gross did a great job on Dwight Freeney. Freeney's known for his lethal spin move. Here's Freeney here. Watch Jordan Gross handle this spin without a problem. Nobody has been better. Nobody has been better at the inside spin than Dwight Freeney. And Jordan Gross just showed you why he's one of the better left tackles in the league. He made it look easy.
What a catch by LaFell, who gets out of bounds around the 34-yard line of Indianapolis. Cam Wade and zipped it.
What a laser by Cam Newton, and a great job by Brandon LaFell, Chris, coming back to the football. He turned and sat right in the middle of the zone, but as Cam drives it, you'll see him drive back to the football. Right there was really the key that allowed him to get the catch and then get some nice yards after the catch.
So they mark it at the 33. Olinda Mare's career-long, a 54-yard field goal back in 1999. 28 seconds and one timeout. Incomplete. Again, he threw it behind Steve Smith. So after the 23-yard completion,
you hit Steve Smith right on target right there, like the one we saw earlier. And Steve maybe has you in the end zone with his ability to run after the catch.
Smith has one catch in the game so far for 30 yards.
Last thing you want to take here is a sack if you're Cam Newton.
Right now you're looking at a 50-yard field goal. Pressure. He gets rid of it to Jonathan Stewart, who makes something happen out of the 27-yard line. Panthers are likely to let this run down.
Well, that happened a lot faster for Jonathan Stewart than he wanted it to, because he had to do a little chip block and then get out in the screen action, but Jamal Anderson was on Newton so fast that the play happened faster than it was supposed to.
So the Panthers used the timeout to set up Olinda Mare for the field goal, which would give Carolina the lead at the break. So far he's 1 for 1 today. Cam Newton 13 out of 20. 118 yards. He's run for a touchdown. No interception so far. This will be a 45-yard field goal try. And the one he made earlier was from 40. Baker. Jamal Anderson with the block on the field goal try.
You know, I am kicking myself. I promise you I'm not making this up. I'm going thinking to myself, watch Jamal Anderson. He's good at this. He's got a big, long wingspan. Didn't say anything. He blasted through the line. Huge block.
So the Colts, battling for their first win of the year, are tied at the half. Let's go to Kurt Meneve for the Visa Report. Colts fans standing and cheering for Marvin Harrison, enshrined in the Colts Ring of Honor here in Indianapolis as we get ready to start the third quarter, tied at 10. And there is Peyton Manning. What a combo. Those two connected over the years, and a soft-spoken receiver who was very reliable.
Well, and he had great practice habits and just a great player. He'll have a bus, I believe, in Canton someday. I know it's hard to get in as a wide receiver, but in today's game. But you look at what that duo did with Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison, the most completions, the most yards, the most touchdowns of any tandem ever in the National Football League with those two guys hooking up. So really cool, and the crowd's still on their feet here for Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, like Peyton said, I threw him in my first game preseason, a 4-yard pass. He ran another 50 yards for a touchdown. I said, this is going to be easy. And it has been. Now, how about this game here? This Colts team playing off a little momentum shift with the Jamal Anderson block of the field goal.
And we know football's a game of emotion. Huge play right before the half to really take 3 points off the board. Jamal Anderson's been very, very good at that his whole career. And I think if you take a look at it, you watch him on the left side of the offensive line for Carolina, he just smashes right through. And at 6'6.5" with those long arms, I mean, Mare had no chance to get that up and out of the way of Jamal Anderson. But bottom line is this: Curtis Painter's got to play better. Only 6 pass attempts, and they're 0 for 4 on third down.
Follow your favorite team all season long. Go to itunes.com/NFL. The Colts have run the ball very well.
Well, thank Mahaffey, the guy who they picked up from the Baltimore practice squad. He has been tearing it up as a lead blocker. And just really, it's his first NFL game today. A team who have been susceptible to the lead play, and they have really pounded it with that play or the play action pass off of that play.
And the halftime numbers for a game that has a 10-all tie on the scoreboard.
And this is the one I'm talking about. 0 for 4 on third down conversions, and that really lends itself and leads right to the time of possession issues and the lack of play opportunities.
And one of the reasons Peyton Manning is still on the roster of the Colts, even though he is inactive, is just in case, because of the new rules, he gets some clearance even to throw the football. The Colts would like him to be able to at least be involved in practice.
Well, listen, and I talked to him before the game. He told me he hadn't even been cleared to play golf yet. The season's over in 6 weeks.
In February is when Bill Polian said we'll have an assessment there of between the neck and the nerve degeneration in the arm. There are really two parts they're watching closely, but we've talked with the organization. If our quarterback is there, we're going to draft him, and Peyton is good with that.
And remember, there's a huge financial commitment towards Peyton Manning, or to Peyton Manning, right at the beginning of the league year, which is at the beginning of March. So they're going to have some information by then, or they're going to have to push that bonus money back. And of course, Peyton Manning will have to agree to do that.
So Joe LaFage back to receive the kick to start the second half from Alindo Mari. He'll watch it go through the end zone. Since 2007, nobody has more touchbacks than Alindo Mari. So they'll come out to the 20-yard line. And next week, a doubleheader with America's Game of the Week. Panthers will take on the Bucs in a NFC South Division clash. Some will see the Packers Giants, Cowboys Cardinals, Rams 49ers. Packers undefeated, 49ers trying to lock up the NFC West. So Curtis Painter, who was 2 of 6, benefited on a 42-yard pass interference penalty. Trying to get the Colts going here in the third quarter. Adai is back in and barely gets a yard before Greg Hardy makes the stop. They started with a dive. Donald Brown came in. We have not seen DeLon Carter, the rookie from Syracuse.
Good play there by Greg Hardy, who's in year number 2. That's one thing. You look at Carolina defensively, and I know they lost their linebackers, John Beeson, the captain and the leader of that defense, and then Thomas Davis, but they're so young up front. They're starting 2 rookies at D tackle. You see Greg Hardy there, only 23 years old, so a lot of youth.
This is a die. He'll lose a yard. One of those young guys you're talking about inside making the play.
Yeah, rookie out of Stanford, Sione Fua, who Ron Rivera pointed out yesterday in our meetings with him. He said those rookies have really hit the wall. Those 2 rookies inside, he and McClain. So they've got to be able to play better. That was a good play there by Fua, who is really, really strong. Ryan Khalil, the center of Carolina, says this guy, in time with some seasoning, is going to be an outstanding player.
4-man rush. Painter throws in and out of the hands of Joseph Adai. James Anderson was back there covering the Panthers' leading tackler. It'll be 4th down.
Now, that's a nice throw by Curtis Painter, because Hardy was right on his backside. He runs around Anthony Costanzo, and watch Greg Hardy now. He's going to stomp on the gas pedal and get after it. Painter makes an accurate throw on the run. Dropped by Adai.
Amani Edwards back to receive McCaffrey's punt. Another 3 and out for the Colts. No fair catch, but brought down right at the 35-yard line by David Caldwell. So a 44-yard boot, no return. It'll be Cam Newton on offense. We're tied at 10.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. By USAA, proudly serving the financial needs of the military, veterans, and their families. By Dodge. And by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Here we go.
The punt by Pat McAfee Oh, I mispronounced his name. Sorry about that. Between Ryan Mahaffey and Matt Butter.
Don't worry about it.
I will be nice to all kickers. On first down, Cam Newton has it, pitches. D'Angelo Williams knocked down at the 39-yard line. So far, Cam Newton has run for the touchdown. He's thrown 20 times, completing 13 of those.
Yeah, he's done a very fine job running, and as you said, had the 14-yard touch. Jonathan Stewart, nice yards per carry average. They need to feed him more. He needs more touches. He is just a workhorse at 235 pounds, and LaFell had a nice first half.
And Steve Smith, couple of tries to him. Aaron throws. He has one catch. This is Williams. Excellent defense by the Colts. It'll bring up third down. Contributions today, a concussion. He has a questionable return.
Yeah, and they started in that same two-back set with a fullback. Started the second half with the fullback and the tailback, but it was Mike McNeil in there instead of Mahaffey. So, and I didn't see him on the bench when they first came out, so I think he just came out of the locker room from the second half. Hope he can get back, but you got to be super careful, Chris, as you know, with the concussion protocol.
Complete out of the 46-yard line. Greg Olsen.
And what a job by Cam Newton, just standing tall with pocket presence and stepping up inside of Robert Mathis. Mathis is a great rusher. He's going to come the edge, but Cam just enough, feels it out to his right. Watch him hitch up right here in the perfect spot of the pocket and just throw a laser to Greg Olsen.
Gain of 13, so a 1st and 10 from the 42 of the Colts.
And that ball out right at 3 seconds, right on time to his tight end.
180. What is it?
Jonathan Stewart fake to him. Cam's on the run. And is forced to go out of bounds. Jamal Anderson was chasing him. It's been a defensive struggle for the most part.
Well, that guy's played good. I know that. Jamal Anderson with the big block. Pat Anger has been all over the place. Look at the 4 tackles by Jamal Anderson. Freeney's gotten to the quarterback. Mathis has gotten to the quarterback.
Freeney is a half a sack away from 100 in his career.
I'll tell you, when you look at the numbers, he and Mathis together have been one of the most explosive tandems ever in the NFL, getting to the quarterback together.
A screen to Stewart. Slips the tackle. Jonathan Stewart. That extra effort may have gotten him at the first down marker, and Ernie Sims helped to bring him down.
Well, that guy is a bulldozer. His lower body is so wide, would not want to tackle him. Listen. Oh. I mean, that's what you do to big power backs. You try to chop him down at the knees. No chance.
And Ernie Sims, part of the 0-16 Lions team, the only NFL team to go through the 16-game regular season schedule.
Hey, 5-1.
Hey, one win isn't anything to brag about, but it'll keep us from 0-16.
Time for another Cam Newton run.
On 3rd and 1, there he goes, and he has a first down inside the 25. Now, if you could call that from up here, how come the Colts defense can't see it from down there?
I think they can, and I think they do expect it, but he's just so hard to defend because of the matchup problems all over the place.
Maybe you saw the playbook.
Well, and Jerry Hughes, that's on Jerry Hughes right there. The guy down blocks. Watch the right defensive end. Look at him crash down, and then Ernie Sims doesn't get over the top. That's not having awareness of really watching what Cam Newton does, especially in the short yardage situations. You've got to be ready for him to run.
From the 25-yard line.
180.
D'Angelo Williams. Look out. And that's a touchdown, Panthers. On his 10th carry, from 25 yards out, his 2nd rushing touchdown of the year.
Watch the right side of the defensive line here and watch them just get washed down the line of scrimmage. Jerry Hughes gets upfield. Philly Moala gets washed down inside. Now Antoine Bethea, the safety's got to step up and make that fill. No chance on D'Angelo Williams. That was a huge hole.
What do you mean washed?
When I say washed, I mean he took an inside charge, and you've got to fight the pressure. You got to come back to the hole. He didn't, and they just took him like in the washing machine and just spun him all the way down the line of scrimmage.
All right, put it on spin dry. D'Angelo Williams breaks the tie. The Panthers have a 7-point lead in the third quarter. It's really more than a 1-2 punch with the Panthers. D'Angelo Williams, the touchdown run after Cam Newton let him down there, and Jonathan Stewart, a threat. So it's really a three-headed monster.
It's like a monster movie with those three guys. And they rarely take negative yards. They're always picking up positive yards. Their numbers bear that out.
So once again, the Colts come out to the 20. Trailing by 7. The Colts must respond to the running game of Carolina.
Game is sponsored by Verizon. Download NFL Mobile from Verizon, the official wireless service provider of the NFL.
So Cam Newton, as we talked about at the start of this broadcast, the difference a star quarterback can make.
Incredible
for a franchise.
Incredible, and won the Heisman Trophy. We all know that. Won about every award there was to win. And he has doubled up as a college player. Now he has doubled up Indianapolis in terms of yards. It's amazing.
Painter to throw his 8th pass of the game. That is deep. Pierre Garçon. No flags.
Well, that's what I was talking about earlier. Remember we saw the earlier pass interference? The defender was not playing the ball. That was perfect by Sherrod Martin, who's going to help over the top on the corner Chris Gamble. So now watch him spin his hips. Now he's going to turn and run, and what he's going to do is he's going to turn and locate the ball right there before the contact.
Little bump.
Once he turns to look at the ball, Chris, it becomes incidental contact, and there's no pass interference call. Well played by Sherrod Martin.
Donald Brown checks in on 2nd and 10. At least the Colts were going downfield. Here they run it to Brown, who has a touchdown run in the game.
Well, their cutback has been pretty darn good today when you talk about the Colts running game. And that's been their, the lead play and then the cutback play has been a nice feature for them offensively in terms of running the ball.
But it puts Painter in a tough 3rd and 7.
Got to get Jacob Tamme involved, the tight end, 84, right at the bottom of your screen here at the end of the line.
Haven't attempted a throw in his direction. Pressure
standing to protect.
It's picked up. Throw, and did he hold on? No. Intended for Austin Collie. It'll be 4th down.
Here's the running game I'm talking about for Indianapolis. It's been nice to where they're starting it out to the left. Put your eyes right on here, the backside defensive tackle. When the cutback's working, the backside defensive tackle's getting blocked. Another illustration of getting washed down the line of scrimmage. Same thing there. That's been the positive yards that they found in the cutback. Really done a nice job of blocking the backside defensive tackle.
So Pat McAfee with the boot, and Amani Edwards from the 35 goes down right away. Philip Wheeler making the special teams play. A 42-yard boot, no return. You can get coverage of every NFL game with NFL Mobile. Call ** NFL Now. And that's something with the Panthers Stadium back in Charlotte. They're talking about renovations, having access for fans with their handheld devices and big screen TVs, make the stadium environment as comfortable as the home environment.
I'm waiting for one of these new stadiums, if we get a new one, to have screens in the back of every seat.
I'll take that like the airlines. D'Angelo Williams on 1st down carries. And Cam Newton, in his 11th game in the NFL, has surpassed the 3,000-yard passing mark with what he's been able to throw for today, and that's in some pretty impressive company, young guys.
Well, he's off to a start in terms of this being his 11th game with 3,000 yards. No one's ever done that in the National Football League, ever.
As early as he's done it, he told us he grew up playing video games where you create your own player. He picked Peyton Manning as his quarterback.
He always asks him the question, why can't he run?
And the end around is Steve Smith, who gets near the 1st down out of bounds. Yet he said, I wanted to have a Peyton Manning thrower who could run like I could run, and that I would create a guy who would say would be unstoppable.
Yeah, throw like Peyton, run like Vic. and he said his game is nowhere even close to either one of those guys in terms of his style because he's just so darn big. I love the story that he told about when he played Pop Warner football. He said he was always the youngest and always the biggest.
But wanted to get there early when they had him playing linebacker and running back so he could play catch.
Look at the Wildcat. He's lined up out at wide receiver right now with D'Angelo Williams taking the snap.
That's how versatile he is. D'Angelo Williams keeps. Cam is blocking downfield. And a healthy pickup for D'Angelo Williams coming off that touchdown run moments ago.
And when you're 252, you can even block. Here he is, matched up out here on Kevin Thomas. Huge size advantage. Now, if you're that corner, you want to come up and try to rock him. Look at Cam trying to cut him down. Come on, Cam Newton.
Cam said, it's not a job, it's my life.
Oh, he hates losing now. How about that passion that was coming through and talking to him yesterday?
You can feel it.
180. What is it?
Jonathan Stewart for a first down. Spinning inside the 38-yard line.
Jordan Gross has the key block here. We saw him block earlier in the pass protection. Watch what he does to Tyler Brayton right here. Tyler Brayton's got to keep his outside shoulder free, and this is his spot. That's Tyler Brayton's spot. Jordan Gross just takes him, manhandles him down the line of scrimmage. Good vision by Jonathan Stewart on the cutback.
A 9-yard gain. Stewart's run for 43 yards. Cam Newton has run for 40. And D'Angelo Williams for 59. Cam keeps it and just kind of stumbles at the 39-yard line. When you look at the first 10 games of their NFL careers, Peyton Manning and Cam Newton, look at an amazing record. Exactly. That's what you try to tell that to Cam Newton. He just said, I'll never accept.
Here's the biggest difference. Cam doesn't want to hear it.
That's that video game element that he was talking about.
And that's number 10 today. He's now got 10 touchdowns. He had the 14-yarder early in the game. No, he's not going to accept losing.
He was looking forward to meeting Peyton. Said, I've met Archie, his father, and told him how special it was to have two sons like Peyton and Eli. The ball comes out at the end after the catch was made by Jeremy Shockey, and Jacob Lacey came up with the football.
Shockey saying he was down.
This might be one that the Panthers will challenge.
See, as Shockey turns around, clearly a catch, has possession of the football.
There's a completed pass, fumble on the play, recovered by Indianapolis, first down.
Jacob Lacey's the one from behind who put his helmet on it. Now, is that ball coming out? Yeah, his left knee's up. That's going to end up being a fumble. Shockey's knee was not on the ground before that ball came out.
Colts have the football. There is no challenge from Ron Rivera. Jeremy Shockey ruling on the field. Catch, fumble, recovery, Colts, Jacob Lacey.
Yeah, and it was a good no challenge. You see the left knee still up off the ground when Lacey had knocked it out. Ball clearly coming out.
On 1st and 10. They're going to hand to Pierre Garçon. It is knocked down at the 47-yard line. For Jeremy Shockey, after missing one game, back with the rib injury, involved in the offense. His second catch of the game, and the turnover gives the Colts a chance to.
And they got to get the ball. They got to get the ball to Garçon. I mean, really, that's all there is to it.
That's where the connection.
He is still the fastest guy on this offense, and the biggest home run threat when you look at it. And you just said it. That's been the connection from Curtis Painter to Pierre Garçon, and they have not been doing anything special in terms of double.
Who hauls it in? And they're hustling up to the line. Reggie Wayne with R.J. Stanford covering.
With man coverage, I told you they're playing more man in Carolina. Watch this release by Reggie Wayne. Inside release. R.J. Stanford is beat from the get-go. And he is expecting help from the safety over the top, who's a little bit late getting there. That is a perfect throw.
And Reggie Wayne is the one who stepped up for Curtis Painter when they brought in Kerry Collins and said, we have a guy from Purdue who's been here. Let him play. A 40-yard connection.
That throw was perfect.
Donald Brown. And there's a flag down as he goes down near the 10.5-yard line.
Yeah, I wouldn't think they're going to get Saturday here.
Offense, number 63. 10-yard penalty. First down.
The call is on Jeff Saturday. It's only the second accepted penalty against the Colts. I was talking to him outside the hotel today before we came over to the stadium in the rain. We talked for 20 minutes, didn't talk about the Colts record. Talked about the weather, the stadium.
Let's talk about his beard. Get any of that going?
We talked about your beard. He used to push those hygiene products for men with beards.
You got to keep it tight, well groomed.
On the penalty, it backs him up. So 1st and 20 from the 23 of Carolina.
Look at those stick marks on his helmet.
Painter has it, throws. There's your Jacob Tamme to tight end. Gets a lot of that yardage back. Tamme, who had a tremendous second half run last year when Dallas Clark was out.
I love the play. Watch Jacob Tamme here. He's going to block, and then he's going to peel back and pivot out and release as a receiver. Perfect timing, well executed, and it really ends up becoming a tight end screen. That is a good play call from the offensive coordinator, and even better execution by the tight end and the offensive line up front. Timing on it was just right.
Clyde Christensen facing a 2nd and 9 call here. Donald Brown. He has 1 touchdown. Fights down to the 6-yard line. It'll be 3rd down. Chris Gamble from the corner spot making the stop.
Well, they dodged the bullet here. Watch Anthony Costanzo hold Charles Johnson. Watch this, Chris. Maybe it wasn't. It was actually a good job of swatting over the top.
Those are tough calls. 3rd and 4. There's the number 1 first-round draft pick out of Boston College.
He's going to be a good one. They've been trying to replace that left tackle since Tarek Glenn, if you remember him.
Quick. Call the timeout. It's the first for the Colts in this half. They will have 2 remaining. Coming up after our coverage, get a preview of all the college football championship games. You get immediate reaction from coaches and players from around the country. The college football championship preview is coming up after our coverage here on Fox. Well, the Colts trying to win their first game of the year. The Panthers have had some fourth-quarter leads that have gotten away. We have
5 of them, as a matter of fact.
21 to go here, so a touchdown would be big for the Colts versus a field goal.
And if you think of Cam Newton, his 14 interceptions, Chris, 9 of them have come in the second half of games. And it was Jeremy Shockey that had the fumble that gave the ball back to the Indianapolis Colts. And then defensively for Carolina, they've given up 96 fourth-quarter points.
And no third down conversions yet for the Colts. That's Garcon in motion. And he catches it, but he'll go nowhere. Gamble got on him. He got loose, but that's a loss. And an excellent defensive play by the Panthers.
That's not a good job by the quarterback, I don't think, in Painter. He thought that he had Garcon wide open as he motioned to the slot. But if you watch number 20, he's got him in man coverage, and he ran with him from the other side. So Gamble's all over it, running in motion with Garcon, and he watches it develop. And lucky that ended up not being for negative yards.
Gamble.
See, Peyton's telling him right now, you got to see that man coverage. That wasn't the right read.
So an excellent defensive stop, and an important one because it only allows a 3-point opportunity for the Colts. And Vinatieri's kick is good. But the Panthers lead by 4 after the turnover. With 32 seconds to go here in the third quarter, it's a 17-13 Carolina advantage. The Play 60 Challenge since 2007, traveling the country, helping the youth of America to be active and healthy. This spring, the NFL Play 60 bus will visit a deserving community. It could be yours. You can go to NFLrush.com/bus to find out more. And you've seen the ads. The Panthers featured in a Play 60 bus public service announcement as all the players, Cam Newton, Steve Smith, and Jerry Richardson, the owner, driving the bus.
Got to go play. Chris, I can imagine you as a kid. Christopher, be home when the street lights are on.
Make a left at the Buick by the garbage cans, and I'll throw you the football.
That's great.
Stay active. And great that the NFL is making sure that the youth of America is staying healthy. 32 seconds to go here. McAfee ready to kick off to Pilaris, who had that 101-yard kickoff return for a touchdown, a Carolina franchise record last week. They'll bring it out to the 20-yard line, so Cam Newton and the offense will take over there. Well, this is week 11, and on Thanksgiving you saw what the Packers did to the Lions, and then you watched what the Ravens did to the 49ers, but this is the way the playoff picture looks at the moment.
Yeah, and the 49ers really not hurt by the loss when you look at it in terms of the big picture. I feel really bad for Chicago. I did ask Greg Olsen yesterday how Caleb Haney would be as a quarterback since they've lost Jay Cutler. They've won 5 consecutive games, and he seemed to think he would be okay. And remember, Caleb Haney played okay in that championship game against the Packers last year. The Bears' forte in that defense, they're going to be in every game.
Cam Newton will keep and lose a yard. He did a lot of running just to stay out of a major loss. It'll be second down.
You can just tell how much he believes in his talent and wants to be the playmaker. He had 2 guys he could have easily tossed the football to, and he elected to keep it himself on the run.
Cam Newton has run for a touchdown and has kept the Colts defense off balance at the end of 3 quarters. It's the Carolina Panthers 17, the Colts 13. Along with Tim Ryan, Chris Myers, glad you're with us from Indianapolis as we get ready to start the 3rd quarter. Curtis Painter has not been on target very much of the day, 5 out of 12, whereas Cam Newton has thrown for 142 yards and run for a score. On second down, that's Jonathan Stewart fighting hard near a first down. An extra surge.
He never goes down on first contact at 235 pounds.
A workhorse.
In the running game, Carolina's well over 150 or 150 yards rushing. You see it right there. So they've got more rushing yards than Indianapolis has total yards. And then the time of possession, we talked about that. That was a big 3rd down miss by Painter down in the red zone down there. On the little quick throw to Garcon.
It was a first down. Stewart remains in as the back. He has it and has a lot of room across the 40. Antoine Buffet made the tackle as Stewart back-to-back carries.
And again, that's just fundamental defensive line play. Look at Tyler Brayton outside shade. You've got to keep this arm free in case the cutback. Instead, he gets butted up with Jordan Gross and tries so hard to squeeze from the backside that he ends up being the guy that gives up the edge.
Just inside the 43 after a 13-yard run.
Jordan Gross having a great day.
Look at that average from Jonathan Stewart. Cam Newton is averaging almost 7 a carry. D'Angelo Williams averaging 5 a carry today. Pass is caught by Legadou Nene. He gets near midfield, and there is a flag down.
You might end up getting some holding here.
Again, Steve Smith has just 1 catch today.
Steve Smith clearing it
Holding,
out.
number 89, offense. 10-yard penalty, first down.
So he tried to stiff arm Father Time a little bit at age 32. And over 1,000 receiving yards once again for this season. The 6th in his career.
You know, it was funny talking to Cam Newton yesterday. He was talking about Steve, and he said, Steve's talking me down. He said, I hate losing. It seems like, hey, it's okay. Don't accept it. You know, you're the face of the organization. I said, that doesn't sound like old salty Steve to me. What a competitor.
Yeah, he put it a different way, but said to Cam, don't isolate yourself. Guys are looking into your eyes for hope. Pass is caught by Steve Smith. And down the sideline he goes.
What a great route. What a tremendous, tremendous route. And that's the thing. You talk about father time and losing the burst. Watch the burst to come back to the ball on this deep comeback and then spin and get yards after the catch.
And got a first down.
Now watch him now watch him spin and be gone. That's so impressive.
He's only 5'9", but man, he can take a beating. A pickup of 20 yards. So now inside the 47 or 48-yard line of Indianapolis. Williams right up the middle. Let's get a game break and check in with Kurt Menefee.
And this is not a replay. 3 weeks after he did it in overtime, Patrick Peterson of Arizona with a punt return for a touchdown against the Rams. His 4th punt return of the year for a score. 4th player to do that since 1951. They lead at 20-10. And by the way, Chris and Ted, Devin Hester did the same thing back in 07.
Interesting, Kurt. And you talk about a rookie, Patrick Peterson, giving Cam Newton and Andy Dalton a run for Rookie of the Year.
And what's amazing is he's won 2 games with it. The overtime game against Arizona and then the Carolina game early in the year, if you remember.
Here's Cam Newton to throw for Steve Smith, who snatches it out of the air. At the 27-yard line of the Colts.
Dwight Freeney was doing all he could there on Jordan Gross. This has been a great matchup watching this today. Freeney's gotten Jordan a couple of times. Jordan's gotten Freeney a few times. That's just pure power driving him into the lap of Cam Newton. But there's where that height at almost 6'6" comes in handy. He had an offensive lineman being pushed into his lap. Can still see the in cut from Steve Smith and then the power to turn and twist and throw that football right on the money. A little high, but certainly one that was in the frame of Steve Smith.
Cam Newton has it. That's Jeremy Shockey down inside the 1. He's having a little fun with the Colts defenders. And it looks like Cam was holding his chin on that play. Lacey, remember, recovered the fumble, caused the fumble from Shockey at the end of the 3rd quarter.
Good time for Cam Newton because Wheeler actually did a good job of trying to reroute Jeremy Shockey, Chris, and getting him really pushed off of the beginning part of his route. Shockey stayed with it. Cam Newton had time to throw it. And another very nice throw.
A 24-yard pickup. 1st and goal, Carolina.
Here's where Cam's a killer again with his legs.
D'Angelo Williams has a touchdown, Panthers. At the moment, a 10-point lead, awaiting the extra point. 2nd touchdown of the day for Williams.
Instrumental, Jeremy Shockey, on that drive. The big catch, and then now he's going to get the big seal down block on Jamal Anderson. And that ends up giving the edge to where Philip Wheeler tried to get over the top, he and Pat Anger, and you're not going to stop D'Angelo Williams when he gets to the line of scrimmage untouched. Jeremy Shockey, the reason he was able to do that.
Panthers averaging 400 yards of total offense. They're at 351 as the extra point to cap an 80-yard drive. Makes it 24-13. The Panthers running game looks unstoppable here in Indianapolis.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Sprint. All football, no limits. Only from Sprint. By Triple Hops Brewed Miller Lite. Taste greatness. And by Chase. Don't get shortchanged. Get your cash back with Chase Freedom.
A lot of smiles on that Carolina bench led by rookie Cam Newton. And moments ago we showed you Patrick Peterson's punt return for a touchdown as Kurt Menefee said it's his 4th of the year. Look at that battle for Rookie of the Year.
Really some incredible play. Now, hard to argue with Cam Newton with what he's doing, but that may be the wild card in the whole bunch right there. DeMarco Murray, if the Cowboys continue to win, he has certainly shown the ability as a complete back. And Andy Dalton having a good day today for Cincinnati. 15 of 18, 197 yards and a touchdown.
So out on the 20-yard line is where Curtis Painter and the Colts will take over on offense. Cam Newton taking some hits, but the Panthers with the lead. Colts have a first down, trailing 24-13 from their own 20-yard line. Joseph Adai, 7 carries in the game, coming off the hamstring injury, and they're working on his foot. So Donald Brown, who has a touchdown run in the game, is the back. Painter to throw and hauled in by Reggie Wayne. It'll be a first down just across the 30. Reggie Wayne, who talked about, you complimented his years in the league. He said, I learned 2 things. You got to run routes better than people, and you got to catch the ball better than the next guy. And that's what's kept him around. And
gave his college coach, Curtis Johnson, who's now down in New Orleans, all the credit. I mean, you look at Andre Johnson with the Houston Texans, Reggie Wayne, Santana Moss, those guys, those receivers that came out of Miami, they're all tremendous route runners.
Time and thrown incomplete by Painter. He also said, the fans a little frustrated here, Reggie Wayne on his iPad, he checks out other receivers and has highlights. Andre Johnson and Larry Fitzgerald. Steve Smith, one of those receivers he has on his hit list that he loves to watch.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, that iPad, what those guys can watch, and it's immediately uploadability to go watch games and to get on flights on the way home and watch games and watch your opponents and your competitors and your colleagues. What did Larry Fitzgerald tell us? He said all he ever watches is Reggie Wayne.
And this is Donald Brown for a first down. His 12th carry of the day puts him over 60 yards. And a fresh set of downs for the Colts, who are trailing by 2 scores.
Remember I said slant in the front? Watch these guys end up coming down and they get caught, and Donald Brown sees it. You see the defensive tackle, he slanted down inside. I talked about that earlier to try to stop the lead play. And Donald Brown sees the defensive lineman getting caught inside. Good vision, good explosion up through the hole.
Just over 9 minutes remain here in the 4th quarter. Painter has time to throw and throws high for Reggie Wayne, who was not open.
Carolina is running more man coverage this year under Ron Rivera than they ever thought about running under John Fox.
Well, shouldn't they be able to take advantage of that with guys like Garcon and Reggie Wayne?
Well, I think Reggie Wayne told us you don't need a lot of separation in this league to be open, but you do when Curtis Painter's been throwing the ball versus when Peyton Manning's done it for 14 years with great accuracy.
So here goes Donald Brown. This has been their formula, and this time Carolina's ready for him. It'll be 3rd down. Panthers with the lead. Colts have to be aware of that clock, which is quickly becoming an enemy here on 3rd and 9. Pressure coming, throw, caught, nice play, Reggie Wayne. He has to get past Martin, and he does. Reggie Wayne has a Colts touchdown. .56 yards. And they're going to go for 2. No flags on the play.
Might as well. It's a 2-score game before that touchdown, down 11. Now you end up getting the points. There's one missed tackle. And then Sherrod Martin overplays it. Nifty little move there by Reggie Wayne. Let's give Curtis Painter a lot of credit because he had pressure all around him. Threw the ball to Reggie Wayne. Reggie blasted back, bursted back to the football, and was able to get it. Now this is huge. This is absolutely huge here, Chris, down by 5.
His first touchdown catch since week 1. Remember, Reggie Wayne told us that Curtis Painter can make all the throws. But yes, given the 5-point difference, a 2-point conversion would allow them a field goal to tie. But first things first. No flags.
He's got him on a crossing route at the top of the screen if he wants it.
Painter rolls, throws, low. The catch is not made. It was for Austin Collie, but it was a poor throw.
It was a bad throw, and I could see it from up here that they had the man coverage they were looking for, and that's what I said. They've got a crossing route, man coverage if they want it.
He can make all the throws, but he couldn't make that one. He did make this one to Reggie Wayne. And the Colts are battling for that first victory of this year.
Today's game is sponsored by the Ford F-150, the only truck available with EcoBoost.
Reggie Wayne, a big fan of Marvin Harrison, who was honored at halftime in the Colts Ring of Honor.
And he said Marvin showed him everything. Really how to be a complete receiver, route runner.
And he gets the touchdown, but they missed the two-point conversion. And here goes Kealoha Polaris. And Aloha! Run down at the 30 by McAfee, who kicked it off.
And tell McAfee, mahalo. Thank you if you're a Colts fan. How often do you see a kicker not have the angle on the kick returner and be able to run him down?
Polaris, who ran one back last week, 101, when a fourth quarter lead got away against the Lions for Carolina. He sets them up nicely here with a nifty return that the kicker saved, but it was good for 76 yards.
Gave him a little dead leg there, which slowed McAfee down, but McAfee's got enough jets to run him down and get him out of bounds.
Now Carolina has run for 179 yards on the ground. Ninth straight game with over 100 yards rushing for the Panthers.
Hey, 53. Set.
They go to the ground, and D'Angelo Williams already in field goal range at the just under the 8-minute mark.
And we always talk about football being a game of emotion and momentum. In Indianapolis, after the Reggie Wayne touchdown, great momentum, making it a 5-point game, and a coverage unit with their special teams, which has really let them down all year. They have been terrible at covering punts and kicks. Take all that momentum and that wind right out of their sails.
And the two-point conversion was in their grasp. It was just not executed.
Need a sack here by their D-line.
55.
Out of the shotgun, Cam Newton keeps and goes down at the 25. Let's get a game break and check in with Kurt Menefee.
On the pregame show, Jimmy Johnson said, if you're a bad team, go for it on 4th down. Minnesota does that. 4th and 13 against Atlanta. And look at this. Percy Harvin, 39-yard touchdown reception from Ponder. And just like that, they pulled it within 3 points. They were down 17-0 at one point, Chris and Tim.
All right, thanks, Kurt. Things are tightening up around the NFL in a number of games. On 3rd down and 3. Blitz is picked up. Jonathan Stewart carries. Cam Newton goes down inside the 30. Here comes the field goal unit for the Panthers. So a big defensive stop. And remember, Jamal Anderson blocked an Olinda Mare field goal try right before the half.
He absolutely did.
On 4th and 1, they set up for the field goal.
That was a huge stop, Chris, because even if they get the field goal here, it's still a one-possession game, only down 8 points if they get this.
A 41-yard try. And right through the heart, Olinda Mare delivers for the Panthers. A 27-19 advantage. But it was Kealoha Polaris and his kickoff return that set up the field goal. Pat McAfee saved a touchdown when Polaris had the opportunity on the return. And now Olinda Mare kicks off. And the Colts will take it from the 20-yard line, trailing by 8. After an incredible regular season with upsets and surprises, Fox Sports now brings you the inaugural conference championship games. This Friday, the Pac-12 showdown, UCLA and Oregon, and then Saturday, the Big Ten championship in this building here in Indianapolis, Wisconsin, taking on Michigan State. Epic championship games, back-to-back nights on Fox. And the college football preview show follows our coverage here.
They just keep churning out quarterbacks at Wisconsin.
Incredible. Painter's throw complete. There it is. Pierre Garçon for a first down.
Yeah, they have got to feed that guy the ball. I would think that Carolina now with Reggie Wayne's day 4 catches with 121 yards, and the number of times he's been targeted versus the other receivers. It will be leaning coverage over here towards Reggie Wayne. So this is the guy now that's going to get the one-on-ones Painter's got to look for.
Howdy, Buffalo!
Yeah.
Howdy, Buffalo!
Donald Brown.
A great block by Tammy.
He gets out of bounds.
Great block by the tight end.
There's a flag down as he went out of bounds. That'll put Brown over 70 yards rushing today.
Good block by Garcon out there too at wide receiver.
Personal foul. Late hit out of bounds, number 50 on the defense. 15-yard penalty will be added to the end of the play. First down.
It's on James Anderson, the team's leading tackler.
Yeah, clearly out on the white stripe when James Anderson still, I mean, you got to be able to hold up your contact with force right there.
After a 12-yard run on the penalty, it's a 27-yard gain at the 5-minute mark. Painter completes to Tammy inside the 33.
It's amazing that he has not gotten the ball more, and I know he's been nicked a little bit, Jacob Tammy, but throughout this season. He was great for Dallas Clark last year when he stepped in for Dallas Clark. He needs to have the ball distributed to him more.
Sword.
Second down 1. He's going deep for Garcon. And it's intercepted. Chris Campbell in the end zone.
Well, that time it was the right read, Chris, but it was a bad throw. You're going to see the tight end go up here. He holds the safety, so it's a one-on-one route. Garcon out there with Chris Campbell. Where only your receiver can get it. That's a bad throw by Curtis Painter.
8th interception of the season for Painter, and for Gamble, his 3rd interception this year. But he had Garcon. There was a step, and you're right, if he let him, maybe a touchdown, at least in the back of the end zone. 2 timeouts remain for the Colts. Panthers now have the football. Jonathan Stewart. Colts need to get a stop and get the football back.
Well, look at the game breakers here. An opportunity now to get it within 3. He had exactly what he wanted. Painter with the man coverage and a little crossing route. Bad throw, poor execution. And then the big return by Pilaris. McAfee saves the day. They end up holding him to a field goal and keep it to a 1-score game at 8 points. And then Painter with another opportunity and throws the interception.
If Jim Conwell wants to get that first win of the year, they need a stop here. On 2nd and 8. Pass is complete to LaFell. And quickly on him to make the tackle. Terrence Johnson. It'll be 3rd down. We have a timeout.
Timeout. Indianapolis.
Colts will have 1 timeout remaining, with 3:33 to go. So if you're the Colts, Tim, and you get a stop here, obviously you need the touchdown and the 2-point conversion.
Well, and you're going to have to go hurry up for sure, and you're going to have to get better execution out of your quarterback. That's the bottom line. I mean, we saw Curtis Painter in some big spots down on the goal line down here. He made the wrong read and made a decent throw, but it was the wrong read. Then the 2-point conversion, the right read, lack of execution, and then the long one, the interception right there to Reggie Wayne. The right read, lack of execution once again. So if the defense is able to hold them here and they do get the ball back, that quarterback's going to have to make some plays.
I know it's in the minds of Colts fans. We're winless. Here we go again. Are the players, does that enter into it at all?
Absolutely it does. This is a game of confidence. And I mean, I get the feeling just in watching Curtis Painter that he doesn't have confidence in himself. And the players don't have a lot of confidence in him.
There's a flag as Steve Smith goes out of bounds with the football.
Be interesting to see how they call this if this one goes on Steve Smith.
And it is offensive pass interference. What a big call on third down.
Pass interference, offense, number 89. 10-yard penalty, repeat, third down.
Now can you decline it and make it fourth?
Here he is in the isolation. Gerard Powers, did push off a little bit to get separation. Both hands overtly extended out.
Would you decline the penalty though? And
absolutely. Would it be?
Oh, he actually made the catch, is what they're saying. So you couldn't decline the penalty. I thought he was out of bounds.
I think that's what they're talking about.
Unless they're saying the catch was out.
26 on the game clock.
Okay.
3:26. Game clock will start on the snap.
Yeah, they didn't have the option to decline it one way or the other.
They're saying he did stay in to make the catch. So now 3rd and 14, but a gutsy call for Ron Rivera and Cam Newton going deep. Cam Newton is going to run. Short of the first down.
Wow, this was a crazy stunt up front by Indianapolis. Watch these two linemen here go, and then this one, and then Freeney all the way around comes unblocked right in the face of Cam Newton. And Cam able to sidestep him and then give Indianapolis credit, knowing where the first down marker was and coming up and getting themselves the tackle that they needed to force a punt.
And they used their last timeout so that the Panthers wouldn't run more time off the clock. So Jason Baker will kick to Pierre Garçon. Colts are out of timeouts.
And let me tell you something. When you look at Carolina, I got on Indianapolis and their inability to cover. Carolina's punt coverage team has not been good this year. They've given up 3 touchdowns.
And fourth quarter leads for the Panthers have slipped through their fingers. They don't want to be the one team that loses to the Colts. Garçon. No fair catch, but brought down in a hurry, and that was well covered by Jason Williams. A 44-yard punt just over the 3-minute mark and an 8-point Carolina lead. Fox tonight, cap off your holiday weekend with Animation Domination. It's all new. A full night of comedy that just keeps on giving. It's America's favorite, funniest families. 7 Eastern, 6 Central on Fox. Tim and I wishing all of you a happy holiday weekend. Hope you enjoyed your Thanksgiving.
It'll be interesting here now in this biggest spot of the game if Curtis Painter can put those mistakes behind him, Chris, and execute and make some big plays.
From the pocket, his pass is complete. That is Pierre Garçon. First down for Indianapolis.
Great job by Garçon fighting and getting out of bounds. Stopping the clock.
His 3rd catch of the day. Reggie Wayne has 4 to lead the Colts. Right at midfield, he falls to the 49. Again, it's Garçon. It'll be 2nd down 2. A chance you could run with Donald Brown, who has 80 yards rushing.
I'll tell you what this hurry-up's doing is it's tiring out that pass rush for the Carolina Panthers.
Extra rushers picked up behind, but caught by Austin Collie, who makes a nice move inside the 40. First down, Colts.
And Chris, because their pass rush is tiring, Ron Rivera's got to dial up a blitz, so he's got to end up sending a linebacker. James Anderson comes on a blitz. Curtis Painter's got man coverage, and he finds Austin Collie, who gets big yards after the catch.
An 11-yard pickup, the throw to Reggie Wayne. Caught them right there on the spot for the tackle, Darius Butler. And Darius Butler in and out of the rotation with Stanford, making an important play at the 2-minute mark. And the wear and tear on the line and the receivers evident. Trailing by 8. Curtis Painter trying to pull this out from the 37-yard line and no timeouts. Second down 9. Fakes the run from the pocket, throws and completes. Donald Brown inside the 20. They're going to spot it right outside the 20 after a 17-yard gain. Quick pass. That's Austin Collie who gets out of bounds. 1:29 to go.
Boy, now you got to start thinking the momentum certainly is swinging the other way. Curtis Painter's getting some confidence back. I like what Clyde Christensen has done with some of the short underneath passing game calls. And Ron Rivera and his defense, their confidence has got to be waning. And they have given up more points, Chris, in the fourth quarter than any team in the National Football League. 5 fourth-quarter leads they have not been able to hold on to defensively.
As long as they don't give up 8 here is what they're thinking. Pass is tipped. Gamble had a chance at another pick before it went into the turf.
Oh, boy, they dodged a bullet there because that ball was tipped, and Gamble had a great opportunity to get it. He was trying to squeeze it in. It's a slant route, but you'll end up seeing 3 defenders around Pierre Garçon. So he tries to slam it right in there, and it was Charles Johnson who got the hand up and got the bat.
So now a third down. They're 1 of 8 on third down. This is obvious 4th down territory.
Jacob Tammy's the guy here in this read.
They need 5. Painter has time for the end zone. High and incomplete. Pierre Garçon got his hands on it.
Jacob Tammy's the only guy who's got one-on-one coverage. Pierre Garçon's going to end up getting in the back of the end zone. Painter gives him a shot. Oh, and he had to elevate it up over the safety where Charles Godfrey was. Oh, just on the fingertips of Pierre Garçon.
That's how close a Colts comeback.
That was a good job, though, by Painter, knowing where that safety was and knowing he needed to elevate that ball.
4th down and 5. Painter complete, and that's going to be an Austin Collie 1st and goal. On 4th and 5, Painter to Collie was clutch.
Collie just running away from Captain Munnerlyn. Boy, give Painter some credit. He has made some nice throws here on this final drive.
From the 3, 1st and goal. No timeouts, remember, for the Colts. End zone.
That's got to be pass interference on Godfrey or illegal contact.
Jacob Tammy just got smashed.
Now you can certainly hammer a guy inside of 5 yards, but he was all over him.
They're showing it here. It looked like the ball was thrown quickly enough.
There's the contact right there.
Yeah, he pulled his shirt.
Well, he was inside of 5 yards, so he's in the chuck zone. He's allowed to do that, but did he still have a hold of him when the ball's in the air? It looked like he did. That should have been pass interference.
I would agree on 2nd and goal. Painter, end zone, batted away, and did he intercept it? Yes.
Oh,
it was off the hands of Austin Collie, and Sherrod Martin came up with it for the pick.
What an incredible job by Sherrod Martin keeping his feet down.
How did he do that? And a tough break for Curtis Painter.
Well, give Painter some credit because he really gave them an opportunity in throwing some strikes and making the right reads. Collie on an in route. He's going to put this ball on him quick. A little bit behind Austin Collie. That would have been a tough catch.
Check the feet.
They're going to have to.
They're watching it upstairs.
Yeah, it's under 2 minutes, so they're going to watch it upstairs and see if that left foot of Sherrod Martin is out of bounds.
Howard Slavin, our replay official.
So there's the tip. Is that left foot's inbounds? He drags the right toe. What an incredible job by Sherrod Martin.
Here's a closer look in high definition.
Did you see him drag that right toe? What an incredible play.
The official is right there. So just to be sure, because a Colts comeback hangs in the balance, they'll review it. We welcome you back. Under review, the interception by Sherrod Martin. Greg Wilson, the back judge, was right there to watch the excellent footwork of Martin.
Yeah, you can't get any better. And
reviewing the play, the ruling on the field is confirmed. It was an interception and a touchdown. Carolina's ball, first down at the 20-yard line.
You can't do it any better if you're Sherrod Martin, and just having the awareness and knowing where your feet are. Give some credit to Charles Godfrey as well. That was part of the pass breakup. At the end of the day, it wasn't a great throw by Curtis Painter. It was a hard one to catch, and it was a little high and certainly behind Austin Collie.
So the Colts will slip to 0-11. And New England and Baltimore coming up. The Panthers will end that 12-game road losing skid. And they will take that to Tampa before coming home to Charlotte against the Atlanta Falcons. Today's game produced by Mike Burks, our director Tom Yohe, associate director Brian Biederman, broadcast associate Matt Saldana, and the studio show produced by Bill Richards, directed by Bob Levy. Along with Tim Ryan, I'm Chris Myers for all of our production staff. Thanks for being with us, and we'll have more from Indianapolis, where the Panthers defeat the Colts by the final of 27-19. Glad to have you watching the NFL on Fox.